Hey folks, this is BestInSlot giving you a deeper look into the Jurassic World Evolution 2 Camp Cretaceous Dinosaur Pack, the next big DLC for the game, arriving on the 8th of March in just a couple of weeks' time. Now, if you haven't seen it already, I have posted the trailer up here on the channel that went up about half an hour ago, but I've also got a ton of screenshots to show you, a little bit more detail, and some really cool key art as well. So let's dig into this and check out what's coming on the 8th of March. First of all, two new species of dinosaur are being added to the game. That is the Scorpios Rex and the Monolophosaurus. We've got two new variants, that's the Kentosaurus and Aranosaurus. If you remember variants from, say, Return to Jurassic Park, you release it as the same species, but by choosing certain skins, it will also remodel the dinosaur. We've got 8 new skins. We've got the Baryonyx trio, we've got Bumpy, of course, and we have the glowing Parasol. Looks really cool. Not sure how this adds up to 8. What I'm wondering is maybe if there's just 4 glowing Parasol skins, maybe there's something else we haven't seen quite yet. Basically, I'm giving you all the information I have right now. I got a little sneak peek at this DLC and some screenshots and stuff, so I'm just telling you everything I know. If more information comes out when this goes public, then I'll add a little bit more at the end of the video with any extra information that we gather along the way. And of course, what's not part of the DLC itself, every single one of you, even if you don't buy the Camp Cretaceous Dinosaur Pack, will get the free update. That is going to include a species viewer, which will let you get up close with your dinosaurs and check them out in detail. Very curious about that one. A first person mode! It's finally happened! We've waited so long. I've been beating this drum for 4 years and I'm so happy that it's finally coming to the game. That's very exciting. And more decorations, including placeable trees, are returning from the first game. Not sure why they were ever removed, but hey, they're back. That's very cool. And some other stuff as well. It's not just trees, there are more decorations in general. I don't really know much else about the free update. I suspect we'll hear more about that later on today, so I'll do another update video on that, telling you all about what you'll get for free on the 8th of March. But until then, let's check out this DLC itself. So first of the 2 new species, we have the Monolophosaurus, or sort of mid-sized, maybe Aranosaurus sized theropod, if I had to guess. We can actually compare that directly with the Camp Cretaceous version, and you gotta say, it's pretty spot on. There's a couple of minor differences. The crest is a little bit lighter, and these little bits at the back, these little spikes are missing. This brush is thick. These spikes here are missing the orange coloration, but generally speaking, it's really good. It's got the right eye, the pupil looks great. It's that very reptilian looking style. The texture looks really good. The colors match the Camp Cretaceous version. The Scorpios Rex has made its official appearance in Jurassic World Evolution. Could not be more excited. One of the cooler creatures in the franchise history as far as I'm concerned. Maybe my favourite of the hybrids. Probably is my favourite of the hybrids. Just because it's so weird and monstrous. It's like a giant pug. The jaw is all misaligned and weird. The teeth are everywhere. The body shape is bizarre. It's just such a strange mishmash of the Indoraptor Indominus and everything else all together, and it looks fantastic in game. They've done a phenomenal job of bringing this thing to life. If we compare it with the one in the show, its head looks a little skinny here. It should be thicker like this. You can see it's got the spine sort of around the back there. It's got those big bright red eyes, terrifying stuff. It's got that sort of softer creamy underbelly. You've got the sort of spikes down the back. It's a little hard to see at night time, but either way, they've done a really good job. And there you go. If you wanted a nice dramatic shot of the Scorpios Rex, well, you've got it. Doesn't it look fantastic there with the red flare, the orange flare in the background? It's all backlit, and obviously it's been painted over a little bit from the actual model, but it's a good idea of what it's going to look like in game and the kind of vibe it's going to give to your game as well. This is one of the coolest pieces of key art they've ever done for Evolution or Evolution 2, so big shout out to the art team on this one, and of course everyone responsible for modelling the thing. The most exciting thing about the Scorpios Rex for me is the animations though, because I've got to imagine it's got some of the weirdest, coolest animations in the game. I'm very optimistic about that. Looking forward to trying that out when we get our hands on the game on the 8th of March. But of course there are other things as well. We have a Kentosaurus variant. Now these won't be necessarily super easy to tell what's different off the top of your head, but I've been very professional and brought in a bit of a comparison, and you can actually see it's quite a strong difference between the two. So we've got a smaller but sort of more pronounced beak in terms of the coloration. It's more clearly there. The eye is obviously a lot larger, less hidden away. The head in general is bigger. The neck is thicker. The whole body is thicker in general. It feels less tiny, less shrink-wrapped, less skinny, blah, 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 blah. It's a bit of a chunkier creature in general. That counts for the plates as well. You can see they're quite a lot taller. These ones here especially are substantially bigger than the ones we have on the Evolution Kentosaurus, and the spike has moved as well. So it's no longer just sort of at the front of the chest, it's moved actually onto the upper thigh, as you can see there. It'll be interesting to see how many skins there are for these variants, actually. I'm quite curious about that. Is it just one skin that resembles the one from the film, or we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we also have the Aranosaurus, and again, we'll compare it. This one, I think, is quite a lot more obvious what has changed. First of all, the skin pattern has changed massively, dramatically. It is entirely different than the one we had in Jurassic World Evolution before. Much more detailed, much more variety in there. Aranosaurus, bless it, I love the Aranosaurus, I do, but it suffers from having one of the worst skin pattern textures, really, in the entire game. We've said this quite a few times, but the Aranosaurus looks a little bit like it's made from rubber, kind of like the way the Albertosaurus does. And thankfully, this one on the left, our new Camp Cretaceous version, completely dodges that. Has a beautifully detailed skin pattern, but also, well, texture, but also the pattern is really interesting. There's all these tiny little details. They feel even a step above the typical Jurassic World Evolution 2 ones. I guess because they're only making a handful, they can kind of get really specific with the patterning. The head shape, of course, is quite different. We've got a crest here, we've got some more indentations and jutting out sections around the eyes, which are bigger and are brighter. We've got this really nice pattern down here at the bottom. The neck kind of loses all these foldy bits. The sail, I feel, is quite a bit thinner on this version. This is a chunky Aranosaurus, which I quite like about it, but this one's quite a lot thinner, more a definite sail rather than sort of the hump feeling that the default one has. But we're not done yet. So we also have, of course, the Baryonyx trio. That's Chaos, Grim, and Limbo. Now these are just skins, and because the Baryonyx trio are kind of based around the Fallen Kingdom Baryonyx we already have, and of course the Fallen Kingdom Baryonyx is one we have in Jurassic World Evolution, these don't necessarily look super different from the Baryonyx we would already have in the game. Bring up the comparison there. It's not necessarily the best one, but you can see we've got the blue one here. I don't know the names, I'm sorry. We've got the green one here, and we've got the sort of browny orange one over here as well. So they all match pretty well with the film version. The new version of Baryonyx with this new eyeball in particular that we've got in Jurassic World Evolution, and the remodel on the head and the lack of pink has made the Baryonyx already look a lot better. If you really wanted to do a little trio habitat kind of thing, now you can. It just makes life a little bit easier, a little bit more similar to the Camp Cretaceous experience. And of course we have Bumpy. Now the interesting thing about the Bumpy skin is it is in fact a skin. It's listed as a skin for on the sort of pre-release sheet thing I got, but it is actually a variant to an extent because it does remodel the dinosaur in that the Bumpy, it's not super easy to tell here, but if you go back to the trailer and check it out, it's more obvious. But you can see the difference between this, and that's of course part of where Bumpy's personality and name comes from, is the fact that it has this smaller bump on one side of its head than the other. It's asymmetrical, that's why Wu was unimpressed with it, blah 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 blah. So super cute looking. It's more about the colour than anything else for Bumpy, but it's about the colour and about the horn. And if we compare it with the Camp Cretaceous version, you see it's basically spot on. We've got that yellow around the mouth there, the big black beak, the sort of blue colouring along the back and the head, and now over here on the shoulders. Now, I don't love Bumpy's... I think it's fine for Camp Cretaceous. I don't love the colouring, generally speaking, because I think it looks a bit weird on an Anky. But it's actually quite nice to have a saturated, high-colour Ankylosaur, and I think that just this little addition here, just the little Bumpy bit here, is actually super cute. So yeah, again, no matter what, the point is it's a really good recreation of what we have in the show. How much you like this pack will be very determined by how much you like the show, of course, because a lot of these are just very faithful, very good recreations of what we've seen in the show, which is absolutely what it should be. That's not a complaint. The one thing I remain curious about, I haven't heard any word of it. I don't think it's in, but I mean, come on. You can't not have a baby Bumpy, surely. I'm gonna be slightly disappointed if baby Bumpy hasn't made it in. That'll be the one check mark I have against the pack, is if baby Bumpy hasn't made it in. It doesn't sound like she has. I think they probably want to avoid baby dinosaurs of all forms, given the conversation around that for Jurassic World Evolution 2. But it will be a little disappointing, because I think she, more than any other dinosaur, in her baby form, is kind of what people think of when they think of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. At least I do, for sure. She's the number one for me, so Someone will mod it in eventually. Anyways, right, let's get started. Let's get started. We started ages ago. Last thing to check out is this beauty of a Parasaurolophus. I'm so excited about this. People tried to mod this in Jurassic World Evolution 1. They did a good job. They really did, as much as they could. But obviously we didn't have the right materials to make it actually glow. But now it actually glows. Look at it. Look how shiny it is. Look how bright that coloration is, even at nighttime. It's a proper nighttime effect, and we can compare it with the one in the show, and it looks fantastic. The placement, obviously the colours are going to differ depending on the scene, but the actual placement of the lights is absolutely spot on. We've still got the two sort of stripes down the back in very Jurassic World style. We've got this kind of ridged effect down the legs, a big splayed bit over here at the top of the thigh, even that little bit there, which you can see there, sort of popping in on the side of the chest. It's just a really good recreation. It's really interesting and unique. Very excited to see all the colour variations of this. I'm hoping there's a few. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it's just this. I have no idea how the skin's going to work, but I suspect it's more Parasaurs. That'll be fantastic. This is one of my favourite things in the pack. I'm a big fan of this. Very curious to see what it looks like at daytime as well, and all the different lighting situations we can put together. And also excited about people having access to this, glow-in-the-dark material as well. That's going to be really cool as well. Either way, that is it for the pack. As I say, we'll do a specific video when we find out more information about the free update, so I'll tell you all about that right here as well. And if anything else has happened, basically the video's over now, but if more information has come to light, that's all going to get added on at the end here. So if you want to, basically if the video goes on for another few minutes, there's more information to come. If not, you can leave. So thank you very much for joining me. Maybe. Cheers much love as always. Definitely. Bye-bye. Maybe. Oh, and throw me a like if you enjoyed the video. Let me know what part of the Camp Cretaceous pack you're most excited about. Cheers. So, as expected, we did get a little bit more information just on those 3 skins that were missing that we mentioned before. So, the 8 new dinosaur skins is the 3 Baryonyx skins as we knew about, the Parasol skin, Bumpy of course, Kentosaurus skin. We're going to get a TORO skin, so that's going to look something like this. It's very similar to the TORO we already have, maybe a little stronger in the patterning. Maybe it's going to have the scar across the face. Maybe it's going to have a little bit more of a charred sort of look. And we're also getting a Aranosaurus Rex skin for Big E.T., who you may not remember, but that was the name of the larger Rex in the most recent season of Camp Cretaceous. And as you can see, there's 2 Parasaurolophus glow-in-the-dark skins. Now, Big E.T. actually looks like this. Big E.T.'s skin is very, very basic. The interesting thing is, Little E.T., which is the younger of the 2, of course, has a much more interesting skin. It's at least got a little bit more variety there. There's some scarring there. We've got the striping. It's a lot more varied than Big E.T. I wonder if... I'm slightly curious, but I reckon this is probably the skin actually they've used and have just mislabeled it. But we'll have to wait and see. Either way, we're getting one of these Rex skins in as well as a bonus skin. So there's that, plus all the other information, of course. And we'll have info about the free update later on. Goodbye again.
Reaching out.